guys, and welcome back to another studio vlog. We're gonna jump right into it with part 2 of applying HTV onto shirts and creating our own shirt designs. If you haven't seen part 1, I'll go ahead and link that video in the description below. I'm so sorry for like the wave lines on the screen, but I did want to show you real quick that when you go ahead and use vinyl, you're going to have to align your images up on a grid for the Cricut to cut it. Now when you do that, you also going to have to align the colors that you want per element so that it lines up exactly how you have it on the grid, if that makes sense. And then that way your image will cut out perfectly within the color that you want. Now, the instructions for this sub vinyl and the puff vinyl said you should cut it face down, and I found that as a problem because if you have thin lines like I do here with the gold outline of the air balloon, then you're going to have to flip it over and you can risk stretching it, skewing it, and making it look misaligned, especially if you have to piece everything back together. So later I do find it easier to just cut it face up with the colors showing, and it was just so much easier. I could leave the air balloon outline exactly where it is and start filling in the other colors just by placing it. Now this one is a test, and I'm glad I put it on the test shirt because if you haven't worked with vinyl before, this one in particular has a clear plastic already on it that you will peel later. And I did not peel the individual colors prior to heat pressing it. And if you're going to be layering vinyl, you have to peel that first, otherwise it's going to rip the layer on top, which is what happened here. So big mistake here, but lesson learned. And since it was a test, I went ahead and started pulling this vinyl. I wanted to stretch it and try to pull it as hard as I can to see if it was going to crack or break. I just wanted to test how durable it was, and it's really good. I highly recommend. This is from HTV, and I just love how it did not crack at all. On a side note, I've been using my cute trash can but with the lid off, and I found that the base fits perfectly into the lid. I don't know if that was part of the design or not, but I was like blown away by it, and I don't know if it was just me or maybe it was pressing shirts all day, so I could have just been tired, but it was easily amused. So now I am working with the vinyl again, and I have everything face up, and that's how I put it through the Cricut, and it was just way easier to manipulate. I was able to peel all of my elements, leave the air balloon outline alone, and then fill in the air balloon with all of the colors. Now I did reduce the size of the blue, orange, and green colors for the air balloon, and that may have been a little mistake because when I pressed it, the vinyl shrinks a bit and it left a little bit of the gap, especially around the orange. So using my little mishaps going in the future, I think I would just try to peel the plastic off first and then layer it a little bit just so that they overlap and there's no gaps. Also, the oranges face, if you've seen the original illustration, he has like a cream center in the face, and I just disregarded that this time because it was just too many tiny little elements to deal with. But I think going forward and for the final design, I will want the face on there, but unfortunately you won't see that in this video. Now I'm working with the words that will be placed on the shirt and the tiny little clouds, and I'm super happy with how this turned out, especially for the first time the Cricut cutting it through. I think it turned out very well. And now I'm going ahead and use that sizer masking tape, and again this will allow you to transfer your elements onto your shirt very easily, so I don't have to do one letter at a time. I can go ahead and pick up one word at a time or one whole phrase as I have above. Head and the will be transferred all in one section, and this allowed me to place it a little bit more evenly and a lot more easily than just trying to align it one letter at a time. And this is how it looks all taped up before I place the heat press down. And this time I made sure the temperature settings were all correct for this type of vinyl. And this attempt turned out way better. Keep in mind that some vinyls like this one, you have to peel off the sizer masking tape, and then it may not peel the plastic covering the vinyl, so you're gonna have to do that as well. So it took a little bit of time, and I was holding my breath for a lot of this because I don't know, I was so afraid to rip it, even though we did a rip test, but it turned out very well. It was super clean and super vibrant. Again, you can see those little not misaligned, but like separation in some of the pieces. I would make sure that's fixed for the final design, and I also did a logo in the back. So moving on to the final design, we are going to try to experiment with puff vinyl. So again, I'm sorry about the wavy lines on the computer, but I wanted to show you my image, and then I'm going to go ahead and place the colors on the mat like I did with the first vinyl design. Oh, and I don't know if I mentioned this before, but using the bonded fabric plus cut setting on the Cricut was the best setting for me. I found that using like the iron or the vinyl setting as indicated in the instructions did not work. So using like the third dot, so it's the bonded fabric plus, is the best setting that I've experimented with. So this may not be helpful for like silhouette users, but if you have a Cricut, that's the setting that I preferred. Now with puff vinyl, for all of the images I've seen online, it appears that it should be separate, like all of your elements should be separated. That is like the aesthetic that they go for this kind of material. And unfortunately, I didn't account for that with the moss, and I couldn't just separate it because it wasn't gonna look evenly separated like around the ears and the body. So I just left it connected together. I would like to test the separation in the future to see which aesthetic I like better. I was very limited in materials for this one, so I couldn't do like a second test. Okay, so doing the words for this image was very tricky. I messed up and I placed the pink vinyl too low. I didn't match it up perfectly as shown in the grid. So again, that's where if you don't pay attention and if you don't align everything correctly, it will cut off of the vinyl. And then for the word perfectly, the dash is meant to be a different color. Actually, those three segments of that word is supposed to be 3 different colors. And since the letters were too close together, that part was tricky. And this is where putting your elements onto separate layers come in handy for Cricut Design Space. So I had to go back and separate the per, the fectly, and the dash onto 3 different layers for it to cut out perfectly. Okay, so I go ahead and line this one up on the shirt, and I was super nervous because again, I'm limited on materials, so I really wanted this to go well. I wasn't sure how this was going to turn out. And at first glance, I don't know if you can see, I thought it was really cool how you could see some of the vinyl already puffed up. It looked really good. I didn't know if this was going to be instant. And then I noticed some spots on here. It looked like my cat was bald. You didn't see it on the pink and you didn't see it on the green, but you saw it on the gray, or what they labeled as silver. So I didn't know what to do about this. So I just went ahead and pressed it again, and maybe it just needed additional time and heat. And when I did that, it worked perfectly. So everything risen, all of the vinyl is puffed up, and all of the spots were gone. So I was super happy about that. I also tried to do like a puffy logo design on the back, but it was a fail. I think the collar got in the way, so next time I would add like a board to try to intercept that, or just sublimate it next time. I'm also going to try to show you some various angles to see if you can see the puffy effect. It's minimal, but you can definitely feel it in person. And if I had to compare it to something, it feels like faux leather. So I really like the effect of this one. My only critique is that I would probably move the word perfectly over to the right, closer to the cat a little bit more. And I would love to try the separation effect as well. So here is the final results of all 3 shirts that I tried to model for you. So this again is on an extra large shirt, and this first one is the sublimated design that was in part 1 video. Next is the head in the clouds design, and now after taking another look at it, I feel like the design is very huge. I don't know, it's an extra large shirt, so it might be okay, but definitely on a medium or a small, I would have to shrink it down so it looks proportionate. And then the final one is perfectly imperfect with the cat and the moss ball on top. And I really like this one. I think it's so cute, and I just love the simplicity of it. Again, with all these designs, I would like to tweak a little bit more, but let me know in the comments which one is your favorite. I really enjoy making all 3, and I don't really know which one is mine because I like them all in their own unique way. I really do hope you like the designs because I had a lot of fun making them. I will be releasing these designs once I do the final tweaks with the shop collection, so stay tuned for that. If you're new, feel free to subscribe and ring that notification bell to stay notified with the shop update. You can also follow me over on Instagram at Crafty Origins because I do post there and I do public announcements there as well. I hope you enjoyed watching the video, and if anything else, it offers some kind of tips and tricks if you're interested in making shirts yourself. And I'll talk to you in the next video. Bye!